Now in our digital dive, Drew Brees is trending once again online this morning for those controversial comments he made earlier this week about protesting during the national anthem. Now in an interview on Wednesday, Brees says he doesn't think NFL players should kneel during the national anthem to protest police brutality. He says he respects the flag so much because both of his grandfathers defended it during World War II. Brees also said that standing together during the anthem might be a better way to bring people together. His own teammates and other athletes from across the country slamming Brees' statements, saying that he's part of the problem. After immense backlash, he issued an apology on Instagram yesterday, saying in part, "I made comments that were insensitive and completely missed the mark on the issues we're facing right now as a country. They lacked awareness and any type of compassion or empathy." Now, as the fallout continued throughout the day yesterday, he released another apology in a video he posted on Instagram.
I know there's not much that I can say that would make things any better right now, but I just want you to see in my eyes how sorry I am for the comments that I made yesterday. I know that it hurt many people, especially friends, teammates, former teammates, loved ones, people that I care and respect deeply. That was never my intention.
Now he went on to discuss the need for reform and change, but Pro Football Hall of Famer and sports analyst Shannon Sharpe isn't buying it.
And Drew Brees still doesn't seem to get it. Now, he issued an apology, Skip, but it's meaningless because the guys know that he spoke his heart the very first time around.
Correct.
Now, I don't know what Drew's going to do, but he probably should just go ahead and retire now. It will never be the same.
Yeah, Brees didn't specifically mention the issue of kneeling in any of his apologies yesterday, so we don't know his stance on it, if it's changed whatsoever. But one thing that I do know, Chris, is that this is going to follow him into the upcoming season and beyond. It'll be interesting because he's the leader, of the team, so it'll be interesting how his teammates respond to it.
Yeah, going to be an interesting dynamic in that locker room. The one thing Shannon Sharpe should do is call Drew Brees up and help him understand. I mean, it's one thing to, yell at somebody for not understanding something, but you got to help him understand, and hopefully he'll maybe reach out at a later date.